Hey everyone, I have a fun video today about the health benefits of peppers. So peppers may not be a food that you generally think of as a health food, but please stay tuned as I talk to you about all the awesome things that peppers, chili peppers, do for our body. So if you're somebody who doesn't like spicy foods, please stay with me. I've got something in here for you. And if you're somebody that loves spicy foods, this video is definitely for you. So I want to start with a little pop quiz. Which pepper is the healthiest for you? A ghost pepper, B, a Pueblo chili, or C, a red bell pepper? Keep watching and we'll get into the answer here in the video. I'm Dr. Katrina Coulter, and this is part of my video series on superfoods. So if you haven't watched the others, check them out. They're about foods that have so many different benefits to the human body that they're basically like superheroes. So today we're going to delve into peppers. Peppers are part of the nightshade family, and they're actually the fruit of the plant, so they are technically a fruit. Peppers were one of our earliest cultivated foods that humans consumed. They originated, we think, out of South or Central America and were first cultivated in Mexico. Peppers are able to exert all their awesome health benefits through chemicals called phytochemicals. So this is going to involve carotenoids, flavonoids, polyphenols, and one called capsaicin. So capsaicin is pepper magic. It's pepper gold. It's the thing that makes peppers spicy and hot. The Scoville scale is a scale that exists to measure the capsaicin content of a pepper. So almost all peppers contain capsaicin, but bell peppers do not. So they're a 0 on the Scoville scale, all the way up to the hottest pepper known, which is the Carolina Reaper. Let's start by focusing on capsaicin and its therapeutic benefits. So the one that you're going to commonly think of is analgesia. Analgesia is pain relief or numbing. And so think of when you eat a pepper or a spicy food, initially you're going to get a response that is pain and hot and maybe uncomfortable. But then as you continue to eat that spicy food, your mouth eventually becomes numb. And the reason why that happens is because capsaicin interacts with a receptor on the nerve fiber, and it causes desensitization. And so you get that initial fire and then you get no feeling. And we have harnessed this therapeutic benefit in modern medicine by creating a cream called capsaicin cream, which is FDA approved for neuropathic pain or post-herpetic neuralgia pain, even for disorders like temporomandibular joint disorder or TMJ and rheumatoid arthritis. This is something that I have prescribed, and some patients do find benefit for treatment of this type of pain that's really hard to treat any other way. The next therapeutic benefit of capsaicin is one of my favorites because my specialty is infectious diseases. It is antimicrobial, and specifically it is antibacterial. So capsaicin can cause this effect by two different mechanisms. The first is that it directly stimulates your immune system. So when you eat the spicy food, it goes into your GI tract and it's like, hey, wake up, time to fight, as some of you may have experienced. The other way that it works is by direct antibacterial effect. And so we found in studies that it can actually kill E. coli and salmonella and listeria and a variety of other bacteria that are associated with food poisoning or gastroenteritis. So when I eat street food, I always add hot sauce to it to hedge my bets. Also along these lines, the peppers have a positive effect on our gut microbiome because capsaicin is eradicating or inhibiting these more dangerous or problematic bacteria and allowing our good gut bacteria to grow. Capsaicin's also anti-inflammatory, and it works by inhibiting some of our inflammatory molecules such as IL-6 and TNF-alpha. During the COVID pandemic, in patients that got severely ill and seemed to have an overpronounced response to COVID, we often found that they had really high levels of IL-6. And in some cases, we were actually using an IL-6 inhibitor called tocilizumab to try to help and save those patients. So this is a natural IL-6 inhibitor. Interestingly, we find that this occurs only at lower doses of capsaicin. So we're not seeing that potent anti-inflammatory effect with higher doses of capsaicin. Capsaicin also is an antioxidant, so it runs around the body and scavenges for free radicals, which are the molecules that can potentially damage DNA and lead to tumors. Capsaicin also has a strong anti-obesity effect, which is really cool. And this is really interesting because it can cause satiety and suppress hunger. So you eat a spicy meal and then you feel full sooner than if you were eating a meal that didn't contain spice. So the capsaicin stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight or flight response. And so it causes this release of catecholamines. The catecholamines are telling our body, oh, it's not time to sit down and move blood into the belly and digest. It's time to move blood into the muscles and get moving. So we also see an increase in metabolism in people who consume more capsaicin. This is also why some people, when they eat a hot, spicy meal, will break out sweating, is because we've had that big catecholamine release and your body is thinking something scary is happening. Capsaicin also can help lower blood pressure. It binds to nerve receptors in the blood vessel walls and in the cardiovascular system that cause the blood vessels to dilate. So on the skin, this would manifest as facial flushing. So this might be a little counterintuitive. You may think, okay, I just ate a spicy meal, my body is stressed out, my blood pressure must be high, but it's actually the opposite effect. It vasodilates and lowers your blood pressure. Now, there is one effect of capsaicin where the data is conflicting. A lot of studies show that capsaicin has anti-tumor effects and can be helpful in cancer prevention or even cancer treatment. However, there are also many studies that show that people that consume more capsaicin have a higher degree of esophageal, gastric, and liver cancers, as well as peptic ulcer disease. So it's really all over the place. The trend I see from the studies is that it seems to be dose dependent on the capsaicin. So those very high doses are when we start to see more of the cancer causing effects, but in the lower doses, we actually see that the capsaicin causes the cancer cell to apoptose or commit suicide. So really interesting and definitely an area of more needed research. Now let's shift gears to bell peppers. So these are the peppers that are 0 on the Scoville scale because they don't contain any capsaicin, but they are still chock full of many other good phytochemicals. So specifically, they have a ton of carotenoids, they have a ton of polyphenols, and they have a ton of flavonoids. The carotenoids are the pigments that color fruit. A green bell pepper has less carotenoids than a yellow, which has less than an orange, which has less than a red, which has less than a purple. The more, the better. Carotenoids include things like lycopene, lutein, and beta-carotene, which are great for eye health and help prevent macular degeneration. The polyphenols that are present in bell peppers and also present in peppers that contain capsaicin are going to be our anti-inflammatory compounds, resveratrol. I always think of resveratrol from 10 or 15 years ago when all this research came out about how great red wine was for you. And that's because there's a lot of resveratrol in red grapes. It's actually the highest resveratrol containing food. But bell peppers also have it. And so these are going to help our inflammatory conditions. And just remember, diseases like Alzheimer's disease, these neurodegenerative diseases, are inflammatory diseases. And so eating more of these polyphenol containing compounds in foods can decrease your chances of developing diseases like that. They also have anti-tumor effects, specifically on GI, lung, and prostate cancer. And they have healthy cardiovascular effects. So they help prevent high cholesterol and cardiovascular disease. The other category that I've mentioned is flavonoids. And these are going to be our antioxidant compounds. And so these are things like capsaicin. Bell peppers also contain high amounts of vitamins and minerals. So one small red bell pepper will contain enough vitamin C for 3 times your daily requirement. They also contain vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin A, and the B vitamins, as well as minerals such as potassium, sodium, magnesium, phosphorus, and they contain calcium. Bell peppers are also high in water and simple carbohydrates and low in fat. So they're a great food for weight management. They're also a high fiber food, so that serves as a prebiotic for your good bacteria, and they contain both the soluble and insoluble fiber. The last pepper that I mentioned on the pop quiz was the Pueblo chili. If you've never heard of this, this was grown in Pueblo, Colorado, and this is a mirasol pepper, meaning that it grows up towards the sun instead of hanging down like most peppers grow. I grew up in Pueblo, and so I grew up eating Pueblo chilies my whole life. Right now is my favorite time of year. It's August, September, and this is when the chilies are harvested and roasted, and the smell of roasting chilies is just amazing. So go check them out if you have never heard of them. So my question to you was, which of these peppers is the healthiest for you? A ghost pepper, B, a Pueblo chili, or C, a red bell pepper? Well, I will confess this is a little bit of a trick question because the answer is it depends. It depends on which health benefit you would like to get. So I would take the ghost pepper out of the running because you really can't eat enough of it to get all the good health benefits. And as we saw with the anti-inflammatory properties, those are really only at the lower doses of capsaicin. And then you've got to consider the risk of cancer or peptic ulcer disease. So that puts it between a Pueblo chili and a bell pepper. So if you are somebody who's trying to lower your blood pressure, you're trying to manage your weight, and you're trying to prevent a cardiovascular problem or prevent high cholesterol, the Pueblo chili probably contains more health benefit for you. But if you're somebody who instead is trying to get a lot more of these antioxidant properties and prevent macular degeneration, then the bell pepper is probably the best one for you. So I would love to know in the comments what your favorite type of pepper is. I would say next to the Pueblo chili, I really like poblanos and Anaheims. And I think it's because of my preference on spice level. Those are very manageable and have a great flavor. Hopefully this video convinced you that peppers are a superfood and you can incorporate them into your diet. If you found this to be useful and helpful, please like the video and subscribe to my channel because I have a lot more coming out that I don't want you to miss. And I, of course, would love to know about what topics you'd like to hear about. So leave that in the comments. Until next time.